Chapter 2, we're going to combine sections 3, 4, and 5. Our objective in combination is to learn to add, subtract, multiply, and divide rational numbers. And our essential question, how do I calculate with rational numbers? Tom ran the 100-meter dash in 11.5 seconds last year. This year he improved his time by 568 thousandths of a second. How fast did Tom run the 100-meter dash this year? Keep in mind, when you're talking about a running time, improving means that that time should actually decrease. So this means we have to subtract these two decimals. Notice what we did below. When we subtract, we have to put a place value in for any number that isn't there. So we had to add zeros. And you can see the alignment is off a little bit, but those decimals should be exactly aligned. So we would subtract 0 minus 8, which we would have to borrow to get 10 minus 8, becomes 9 minus 6, 14 minus 5, and then 0 minus 0. And let's evaluate the expression for the given value of the variable. 7/10 plus m for m equals 3 and 1/10. Start by substituting your number in so you understand what's going on. So 7/10 plus 3 and 1/10. Well, we have 3 wholes and no holes with the 7/10. So we have a total of 3 wholes, and if we add the two fractions, 7/10 and 1/10, we get 8/10. That's a total of 3 and 8/10. It's good practice to always simplify, so we can divide 8 and 10 both by 2 and get 3 and 4/5. Let's subtract. -2/9 minus 5/9. We have common denominators, so we don't have to worry about changing the denominators to be the same. The negatives can go up in the numerator with the 2 and with the 5. So really this becomes -2 minus 5 over 9. And -2 minus 5 is -7, so we get -7/9. You can see in example B, 6/7 plus -3/7 is the same as 6 plus -3 over 7, which would give us +3/7. We can also evaluate decimals. 12.1 minus a -0.1 minus a negative turns into plus, that equals 12.2. Let's talk about multiplying. The rules are the same for integers and rational numbers. A positive times a positive is a positive, a negative times a negative is a positive, and if the signs are different, the product is negative. So let's multiply. Write the answer in simplest form. -8 times 6/7. A negative times a positive is a negative. Now the numerator is -8. That goes only with the 6. Think of it as -8 over 1. So it's -8 times 6 over 7. We get -48/7. Simplifying now means we can keep it in improper form and just reduce as far as possible, which is as far as we can go. Okay, what if we have a whole number times a mixed number? We want to eliminate that mixed number. So we start by turning that into an improper fraction. And you've done this before, but remember you take the whole number times the denominator, which would be 5 times 3, plus the numerator, which is 1, and it all gets placed over the original denominator of 3. So 5 and 1/3 is the same as 16/3. So now we're going to multiply that by 2. Remember that's like 2 over 1. So we multiply the 2 times the 16, leave the denominator alone. We get 32 over 3, and neither is divisible by 3, so it's simplified. Let's multiply again. Write the answer in simplest form. -2/3 times 9 over 2. We multiply straight across, numerators and denominators. One method we can do to make our multiplying easier is to simplify before we multiply. If you notice something in the numerator that has a common factor as something in the denominator, we can reduce. So you can see, if I backtrack, the 9 and the 3 can both be divided by 3. The negative 2 and the 2 can both be divided by 2. So when we do that, 9 becomes 3, 3 becomes 1, negative 2 becomes negative 1, and 2 becomes 1. Now it's negative 1 times 3 over 1 times 1, which is negative 3. The reason this can be easier is because now you're not working with such large numbers. Last step is dividing. We need to know what a reciprocal is. A number and its reciprocal have a product of 1. To find the reciprocal of a fraction, exchange the numerator and the denominator. Remember that an integer can be written as a fraction with a denominator of 1. Here are some examples. If the number is 3/4, the reciprocal is 4/3. If the number is negative 5/12, the reciprocal is negative 12/5. If the number is 6, the reciprocal is 1/6. The positive and negative have nothing to do with it. That's just the value of the number, but we flip the numerator and denominator. Keep in mind that 1/3 times 2/5 equals 2/15. We could undo that with division and say 2/15 divided by 2/5 equals 1/3. Multiplying by the reciprocal gives the same result as dividing. So 2/15 times 5 seconds is 1/3. And 5 seconds was the reciprocal of 2/5. So rather than dividing fractions, because it doesn't always come out nicely, we can always multiply by the reciprocal. So let's try dividing. Write the answer in simplest form when you're done. 5/11 divided by 1/2. We leave the 5/11 alone, and we multiply by the reciprocal of 1/2, which would be 2/1. We multiply straight across. 5 times 2 is 10, 11 times 1 is 11, and 10/11 cannot be reduced. Make sure your notes are filled out completely. Review your notes and complete the summary before class. Come prepared to take a formative lesson quiz on how well you understood the material, and also come with any questions that you still have.